It's Friday, June 12th, 2026. Elon Musk is now officially the world's first trillionaire. And the way it happened? In a single trading day, shattered almost every record on Wall Street. A rocket company, 3 failed launches from extinction. A car company, hours away from missing payroll. A founder so broke he's borrowing money from friends to pay his own rent. Hold that image. That same man crossed a number no human being has ever reached. $1 trillion. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly what pushed him over the line, the near-death story buried underneath it, why some are calling this the greatest bet in financial history, and why others are calling it a flashing warning light for capitalism itself. A trillion is one of those words we say without actually feeling it. So let's feel it, shall we? A billion seconds is about 32 years. A trillion seconds? Almost 32,000 years. If you had spent $1 million every single day since the year 1, every day for 2,000 years, you still wouldn't have spent $1 trillion. Only 19 countries on Earth have an economy bigger than that number. Musk's personal fortune is now larger than the entire annual GDP of Taiwan, Ireland, or Sweden. He is worth more than the next 5 richest people on the planet combined. The world's number 2, Google co-founder Larry Page, sits at around $288 billion, barely a quarter of Musk. And here's a piece of history for perspective. The world's first billionaire was John D. Rockefeller back in 1916. His empire? Oil. It took 110 years to add 3 more zeros. And the empire that did it runs on rockets, satellites, and artificial intelligence. Keep that pairing in mind. We're coming back to it. So what actually happened this week? One word: SpaceX. On Thursday night, after more than 2 decades as a private company, SpaceX priced its initial public offering at $135 a share, selling roughly 555 million shares and raising $75 billion. That is the largest IPO in the history of financial markets. The old record belonged to Saudi Aramco, the Saudi state oil giant, which raised about $29 billion in 2019. SpaceX didn't just beat that record, it more than doubled it. And even if you adjust Aramco's haul for inflation, SpaceX still wins. The demand was absurd. Investors placed around $250 billion in orders for $75 billion worth of stock, nearly 4 times oversubscribed. Retail investors alone, ordinary people, asked for more than $70 billion. BlackRock, the world's largest asset manager, reportedly put in a $5 billion order. The Nasdaq even rewrote its own rulebook to welcome the company, scrapping a decades-old listing requirement just weeks before the debut. Then came Friday. The stock, ticker SPCX, opened at $150, spiked as high as $176, and closed at $160.95. At that price, SpaceX is worth around $1.8 trillion, instantly one of the most valuable companies in the United States. And here's where the math turns one man into a milestone. Musk owns roughly 42% of SpaceX, and through a special share structure, about 82% of the votes. By the closing bell, his SpaceX stake plus his Tesla shares added up to roughly $1.1 trillion. The day before, Forbes had him at $813 billion. One trading session added close to $200 billion to his fortune. He wasn't the only winner. By one estimate, around 4,400 SpaceX employees became millionaires the moment the stock started trading, along with a handful of brand new billionaires. Now, here's the twist almost everyone missed. The trillion wasn't supposed to come from SpaceX at all. Just last November, Tesla shareholders approved a pay package explicitly designed to make Musk a trillionaire if he hit a series of near-impossible targets stretching to 2033. He beat his own deadline by 7 years, and he didn't even need the package to do it. But step back for a second, because the wildest part of this story isn't the number. It's where this man was 18 years ago. In 2002, Musk walked away from the PayPal sale with about $180 million. And instead of retiring, he bet essentially all of it on two of the most failure-prone industries in existence: rockets and electric cars. By 2008, the bet was collapsing. SpaceX's Falcon 1 had failed 3 launches in a row, and there was money left for exactly one more. Tesla was weeks from bankruptcy. Musk was, by his own account, borrowing money just to cover rent. Then, in the span of 3 months, the 4th rocket flew. NASA handed SpaceX a $1.6 billion contract, and Tesla's rescue financing closed on Christmas Eve, reportedly hours before the company would have gone under. The years since were a roller coaster with no seatbelt. World's richest person by early 2021. A $44 billion Twitter purchase in 2022. Then a crash so steep, roughly 200 billion lost, that Guinness World Records logged it as the largest personal fortune ever lost. Yep, you heard that right. The first trillionaire holds the world record for losing money. By October 2025, he was back, becoming the first person ever worth $500 billion. 8 months later, double. So what exactly are investors buying that's worth $1.8 trillion? 3 things in one ticker. Starlink, the satellite internet network that now produces most of SpaceX's revenue, with millions of paying subscribers. Starship, the largest rocket ever built, the vehicle for the Moon and Mars. And after a recent merger with Musk's AI company, xAI, artificial intelligence, including plans for AI data centers in space. On a pre-IPO live stream, Musk described what comes next as a significant growth phase. Time for the reality check. SpaceX still loses money every year. Investors aren't buying what the company is, they're buying what it might become. Which is why nearly every headline this week carried the same 2 words: on paper. Stock prices fall as well as rise. The world's first trillionaire could be untrillionaired by a single bad quarter. And not everyone is celebrating. Within hours, the charity Oxfam called the milestone a new pinnacle of oligarchy, the symbol of a new gilded age. The criticism isn't just about the money, it's about control. One individual holding 82% of the votes over the planet's dominant satellite network, its busiest rocket fleet, and a frontier AI lab, on top of a social media platform and the world's most valuable car maker. Supporters fire back with a simple counter. Nobody was forced to buy. $70 billion of retail demand means millions of ordinary people wanted in on this. He built companies the experts called impossible, nearly went broke doing it, and the market just delivered its verdict. Zoom out one last time, because the symbolism here is almost too perfect. The previous IPO record holder was Aramco, the crown jewel of the oil age. The company that just took the crown is trying to leave the planet, and it's only the opening act. SpaceX is the first of a wave of giant AI listings expected this year. In 1916, the first billionaire was made by what comes out of the ground. In 2026, the first trillionaire was made by what flies above it. The market just told you which century it thinks we're living in. In the end, this isn't really a story about one man's bank account. It's a story about what our era chooses to reward: audacity, risk, and a 20-year refusal to quit, and what it's willing to tolerate to get it: a concentration of wealth and power with no precedent in human history. Is the first trillionaire a triumph of ambition or a warning light on the dashboard of capitalism? Maybe the honest answer is both, at the same time, on paper. What do you think about our first trillionaire? Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.